So Israel has agreed to conditions for a 60-day Gaza ceasefire, Trump says. Welcome. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about a little bit more. We're going to talk about some doxing threats for the ICE agents. We're going to talk a little bit about the alleged Chinese meddling in the 2020 election. We're going to also talk a little bit about the Idaho shooter. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So stay tuned. This will be fun. I'll be right back. Okay, so Israel has agreed to conditions for a 60-day Gaza ceasefire. And this comes from the BBC. I'm just reading some articles, and this is the first time I've read them, so I'm just kind of going through them with you, and I'll read them and I'll kind of give my little take on them as we go. But anyway, Israel has agreed to conditions for a 60-day Gaza ceasefire. We'll see. And we know that Israel has a hard time keeping ceasefires. They've had a tendency of not wanting to do that very much. But moving on. Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. U.S. President Donald Trump said, during the proposed deal, we will work with all parties to end the war. Trump said in a post on True Social without detailing what the conditions are. The Qataris and Egyptians, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, will deliver this final proposal. I hope that Hamas takes this deal, because it will not get better. It will only get worse, Trump wrote. So I don't know if Israel agreed, but Gaza hasn't, or the Hamas hasn't, but we'll have to see. Israel launched a military campaign in Gaza after Hamas's October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, in which around 1,200 people were killed. At least 56,647 people have been killed in Gaza since then, according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry. What's up, guys? Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to jump on real quick and do a quick shout out to the sponsors of this video, which is first and foremost the Lord above, the creator of the universe. Without him, none of us are anything. We're all nothing. And secondly, I wanted to shout out to the subscribers of this channel, because without the subscribers, this channel's nothing. And we're growing. We're growing slowly, but we're growing. And I get between like 1 and 10 new subscribers every day. So I see every single one, and every one I appreciate. It's amazing to me that I even have as many as I do. But my goal for the year is 8,000. So if we can get that by the end of 25, that would be awesome. And if those of you that have subscribed, again, thank you so much. You're the life of this channel. And those of you that haven't subscribed, if you want to, maybe not right now, but if you want to watch for a few more minutes, and then if you want to
go ahead, make my day.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and subscribe, that would be fantastic. But again, it's up to you. If you feel like it, if you feel like you're getting anything out of this, I'm working on a few things that I'm going to come up with some new videos and some new ideas that might help you out a little bit. But anyway, again, appreciate y'all. Love you. Back to your show. So it's been pretty tough war over there, and Israel has supposedly agreed to conditions for a 60-day ceasefire. What does this 60-day ceasefire mean? I mean, does that mean after 60 days they can start bombing each other again? But apparently Hamas, I don't know if Hamas has agreed or not. We'll have to see, because if Hamas doesn't agree, then obviously deal's off. But it was not immediately clear whether Hamas would accept the conditions of the ceasefire. Trump's announcement comes before a meeting with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, scheduled for next week, in which the U.S. president has said he would be very firm. Yeah, very firm. He's already not happy with it with Israel for breaking the ceasefire with Iran. With Iran. He wants to. Wait, hold on. I skipped one. No. Yes. The U.S. president said on Tuesday that he believes Netanyahu wanted to end hostilities in Gaza. Probably out of weapons. They've been shooting them for years now. They're probably out of firepower. He wants to. I can tell you he wants to. I think we'll have a deal next week, Trump added. On Tuesday, Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer was due to meet U.S. Special Envoy in the Middle East with Steve Witkoff, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President D.J. Vance in Washington. So they're planning a meeting. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I don't know if it was last time that he was there, but last time they had some of these guys in there, it didn't go over very well for them. Last week, a senior Hamas official told the BBC mediators have increased efforts to broker a new ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza, but that negotiations with Israel remain stalled. Let me reread that. Last week, senior Hamas official told the BBC mediators have increased efforts to broker a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza, but that negotiation with Israel has stalled. Israel has said the conflict can only end when Hamas has been completely dismantled. Hamas has long called for a permanent truce and a complete Israel withdrawal from Gaza. I don't know about that. I mean, this is coming from the BBC. It's pretty left-wing British media, but Israel has said the conflict can only end when Hamas has been completely dismantled. Hamas has long called for a permanent truce and complete Israel withdrawal from Gaza. I don't know if they're calling a truce, but I know they're trying to get Israel out of Gaza. I do know that much, but to be calling for a truce, I haven't heard that yet. That's a new one to me there, but maybe I just haven't heard about it. Around 50 Israeli hostages are still in Gaza, at least 20 of whom are believed to be alive. Trump's comments came shortly after Israel ordered evacuations in northern Gaza ahead of increased military actions. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike on a seafront cafe in Gaza City on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. The Israeli military this week said it was examining reports of civilians being harmed while approaching aid distribution centers in Gaza run by the U.S. and Israel-backed Gaza humanitarian funds. So we're actually there, and even Israel's there helping people out. So it's not like they're just bombing everybody. I mean, I know a lot of people are talking like they want, like they're basically they've been referring to them as like the modern day Nazis and stuff like that. Like they're a genocide. They want to genocide all of Gaza. I don't think it's necessarily Gaza. I think they technically want Hamas, which is a terrorist organization that they want dismantled. I don't think they're after Gaza itself. I think they just want the Hamas people. But I think that's what they're after. I don't think they're after the whole place of Gaza. And I don't agree with killing civilians. And that's the harsh part about this war. And it's come from both sides. They've both been getting just innocent civilians, and that's, I totally don't agree. I don't agree with any of it. They just need to stop it. I mean, what are they fighting for? I mean, they're just fighting because they hate each other. That's basically what it is. They're just fighting because they hate each other. They've hated each other ever since the beginning of time, pretty much. All right. More than 170 charities and other NGOs have called for the controversial group to be shut down. Organizations like Oxfam and Save the Children say Israel forces routinely open fire on Palestinians seeking aid. I don't believe that. I mean, maybe, but I really don't believe that they're just shooting innocent civilians that are looking for aid. I don't think that's where they're after. I don't think Israeli forces are doing that, because I know Trump would put a stop to that in a hurry if he knew about that. That wouldn't go over very well with Trump, because Trump is not. Yeah, Trump would put an end to that right quick, just like he did with the Israel thing, or with the Iran thing. But yeah, I don't buy that part. I don't buy that they're just shooting down innocent people trying to get aid. I think that's a biased statement right there. I don't think that's fake news. I think that's fake news. Israel denies this accusation and says the organization is necessary to bypass Hamas interference in aid distribution. Yeah, Israel denies this accusation and says the organization is necessary to bypass Hamas interference in aid distribution. See, they're going after those that are trying to stop them from sending the aid. They're not targeting innocent people. They're not targeting just people trying to go get help. In March, a previous ceasefire deal collapsed when Israel launched fresh strikes on Gaza. The Israeli military described the action as preemptive strikes based on Hamas's readiness to execute terror attacks, build up forces, and rearm. The previous ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, which stated on January 19th, was set up to have 3 stages, but did not make it past the first stage. Israel doesn't like ceasefires. They never abide by them. That's why it's like, is this 60-day ceasefire really going to stick? How many days is it going to actually last? Stage 2 included establishing a permanent ceasefire and return of remaining living hostages in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners in Israel, and the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces in Gaza. We'll see how that one goes. Like I said, I don't know if this is all legit. It's just something that they've been talking about, but we'll see. Israel doesn't like to. They broke the Israel-Iran ceasefire within the first hour, even of that. So we'll see. But I know it's been going on, and they've been bombing with, when Gaza, or the Gazans have been trying to, I think that's how you say it, Gazans, but the people of Gaza have actually been trying to get the ceasefire and get this, because it's not Gaza, it's Hamas that they're fighting against, and as long as there's Hamas there, they're probably going to never quit. But I really don't believe that they're just shooting, killing, bombing innocent people, places where innocent people are. I really don't believe that. So, but anyway, on to the next one. All right. 2 Milwaukee police officers shot, and suspect is arrested. All right. 2 Milwaukee police officers were shot after responding to a call for a person with a weapon late Thursday, police said. And this is coming from ABC News, by the way. A suspect has been arrested in connection with the shooting on Friday morning, police said, in what is being described as an ambush. Officers were fired upon as they approached an alley, according to police. A 32-year-old officer has been hospitalized in critical condition, while a 29-year-old officer hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, police say. The identity of the suspect has not been revealed by police, but officials said criminal charges will be presented to the Milwaukee District Attorney's Office in the upcoming days. Thank you to law enforcement partners who assisted us in taking the suspect into custody. As a stark reminder, the Milwaukee Police Department will not tolerate harm to our community or our officers. Individuals inflicting harm against the public and our officers will be held accountable, police said in a statement. This is with profound sorrow and outrage that we confirm that 2 Milwaukee police officers were tragically shot and critically injured in the line of duty tonight. Our thoughts are with these officers, their families, friends, and colleagues. These officers face unimaginable suffering, and they have long roads ahead of them. A statement from the Milwaukee Police Association said. This is a senseless act of violence struck at the very heart of our department and our community. We have reached a breaking point. Violence in our city is out of control. Those who protect our neighborhoods are increasingly in the crosshairs. The statement continued, we have had 5 officers killed in the line of duty over the past 7 years, and a dozen of our officers have been shot and shot at while trying to serve our neighborhoods. Our officers wear the badge with pride and honor, but with our officers need more leadership from the city to bring an end to this violence. Well, there's been Democrat mayors. It's you see this in a lot of the bigger cities, especially Democrat-run cities. It's Chicago, Los Angeles, New York City, crime all over the place. I mean, Milwaukee, Detroit, it's like all these big major cities, because they're demonizing the police department. I mean, I know I get you've got your few bad apples and the police department's not perfect. I get it. There's some bad apples in there and there's some that, but you're trying to defund the police. You're demonizing the police. The police have they almost fear that if they shoot somebody, depending on the color of their skin, they shoot someone, they're going to be, even if it's totally legit, especially if it's different colors, different skin color, which is stupid that people even think that, but just because they hold that badge, they're hated, they're disrespected, they're trying to defund them, they're trying to abolish the police department in some places. And then this happens, and then you're griping about, we appreciate. Well, then try to quit defunding them. I mean, I don't know these guys. I don't know if they have good training in Milwaukee. If they're defunding the police department, then they probably don't have good training programs. They probably don't have access to a lot of good equipment. They probably don't have access to a lot of that things to help keep this from happening. Plus, a lot of them have Democrat mayors, and Democrat mayors, they don't do anything to stop it. And just so we're fair, taking guns from the law-abiding citizens isn't going to stop it. But that's what they're going for. They always go for the guns. They never go for the people doing it. But that's a different topic for a different day. Let's read on. Milwaukee Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson said in a response to the shooting, "It is a very sad day. It's a very sad day." He said that twice, by the way. It's a very sad day. It's a very sad day. Because no officer, no person in law enforcement should ever be fired upon. For the person that shot at our police officers, I want you to know that you should turn yourself in. Know that the man and woman on this police force, they are going to find you. They're not going to arrest you. You are going to be brought to justice. They are going to arrest you. You are going to be brought to justice anyway. I mean, sad day for the police department, but I mean, no offense to them, and my condolences and my prayers, my thoughts, but Milwaukee, you did this to yourself, kind of. Milwaukee and Chicago and these kind of cities, they're harsh cities. And I don't know if this is like right in the city. I mean, it could have been in an easier place, but I mean, there's crime everywhere. I'm not saying it's only in blue states or only in blue cities. It happens in the Republican-run cities, but it just doesn't happen as much. I mean, and there's been talk out there by some people that I don't know if this is legit or not, but some people, there was somebody, forget who it was, but they said something that some of these sleeper cells that they say we have in here, and some of these terrorists that are in here, they're going to be coming out and they're going to be dressing as police and as firefighters and whatnot, and they're trying to, because of nobody shoots a police officer. Nobody shoots a firefighter. You can't do that. You can't shoot those guys. But so they're dressing like those so that you don't just automatically shoot at them because they're a police officer. It's like that one in Minnesota. The guy that shot that senator, that state senator or whatever. He came dressed as a police officer. Knocked on the door. As soon as they opened the door, he started firing away. It's an easy way. They look out their window or through their people. Oh, it's the police. Let's open it up and see what the police want. And bang, bang, bang. So, but anyway, that's that one. On to the next one. All right, so doxing danger. Foreign-based anti-ICE site threatens agents as assault against officers surge. And this was coming from the Blaze. So, doxing danger. Foreign-based anti-ICE site threatens agents as assault against officers surge. These are thugs. A foreign-based website referred to as the ICE list is exposing the names and photographs of dozens of immigration, customs enforcement officers amid a 413% increase in assaults against agents since President Trump began his second term. 413% increase of assaults against agents. See, this is why they cover their face, people. This is why they cover their face. You guys are all, they need to cover their face and show their badges, and they need to show their faces. Why? So you can put their faces on a website so people can go and assault them. That's why they cover their face. Why do you cover your face at the protests? If you're so, what are you afraid of? Anyway, the website states that it is a crowdsourced database of individuals involved in deportation, ICE operations, and associated abuses. I mean, people call these kidnappings. They're not kidnappings. We're arresting you and sending you home. That's not kidnapping you. We're taking you home. How is that kidnapping? It claims to obtain information about ICE agents from public sources, including social media profiles and news coverages, and that it does not publish private data such as home address or personal contact details. It claims to obtain information about ICE agents from public sources, including social media, and that it does not. It claims that it doesn't provide personal information. In addition to exposing known ICE agents, it also lists unidentified officers whom the site has accused of assault and kidnapping, presumably referring to the arrest of foreign nationals who are unlawfully in the United States. Yeah, see, it's not kidnapping, it's picking you up. It's, sorry, my eye itches. It's not kidnapping, it's arresting you and sending you home. See, that's the thing. They're not arresting anybody. And they want these, and there's been all these controversy about masked men, just street people with masks and street clothes coming and kidnapping people. They're not kidnapping anybody. Think what you want. I know some of these people may not be the bad ones, the ones that I think they should get out, because I think they should get out the criminals and the human traffickers, the ones coming with the actual like legit hard criminals. They just need to straight up deport. Third country, whatever, because that's been passed through the Supreme Court. So they should just run them down to El Salvador. The other ones, the ones that are not violent criminals, the ones that are just here illegally, and the ones that are working, and the ones that are helping by paying their taxes. And I still think they should be here legally. I still think they should go through the process. So, I mean, to say kidnapping, well, we're taking you to a center where you can start your paperwork. We can check your background. We can see if you're a good person, and you can start the paperwork. Once you get that paperwork through, you're free to go back to work. Or if we can issue you another work visa or whatever they're doing, we can just send you back on your way. The database states its goals. The database's stated goal is transparency and public accountability, and it claims it does not support harassment, doxing, or any illegal activities. The DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told the Blaze News this is not an independent media group. These are thugs. They're thugs. They're out there trying to just because it's probably the same type of people that burn down your neighbor's Teslas or your Tesla or whatever. These are probably the same exact people that were, just because Donald Trump offered Elon Musk a job and he accepted the job, all of a sudden anybody that drives a Tesla is evil and their car needs to be burned down and they need to get all vandalized. And that person had nothing to do with this. All they did was buy a Tesla before Elon even did anything. They didn't know that was going to happen. They just wanted to drive an electric car. I mean, and you're taking down, and you're doing this to your own side of people. Because most people, now this doesn't go across the board, but most of the MAGA Republican, red state, red, they're not really into electric cars very much. Some of them are. Not those of you that are, that's fine. But most of the Republicans aren't really buying into the electric car deal. So it's like, you're a Democrat, you're upset that Elon took a job to audit the United States, whatever, you have your opinion. I think that's a good thing. We're getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. But you're mad at him for it. So you're going out and burning down your fellow Democrats' cars. It makes no sense. Just because they bought a Tesla doesn't mean they're evil, doesn't mean they're Nazis, doesn't mean they're racist. Just because they drive a Tesla does not. But these are probably the same people that are doing this. They're evil people, and they need to be stopped. And they're just, that's why they want them unmasked. That's why they want these ICE agents to not have masks on, because they just, so that they can see who they are and they can assault them and harass them and whatever outside of work. So they can go to their houses, so they can go to find them outside and about and whatever. But anyway, reading on. We will prosecute those who dox ICE agents to the fullest extent of the law. These criminals are taking the side of vicious cartels and human traffickers. We won't allow it in America, McLaughlin said. They're siding with the criminals. They're like, we're trying to get criminals out of here. That should be a good thing. I mean, I don't understand. We're trying to get criminals and thugs and cartel and gang members. We're trying to get those guys out of here. I mean, at the same time, we might pick up somebody that's not one of those. But that's why we go through the vetting process. We take them to we give them their due process. You guys were fighting for due process. Now we're giving them their due process. And then once they pass their due process, we'll let them come back in. I mean, it's that simple. But you don't need to, but you're siding with the criminals. The controversial open journalistic project was created by the Christian Daily, a Substack account that claims to publish pain-spoken breakdowns of complex political topics. The journal celebrates the release of Muhammad Khalil, accused President Trump of violating the United States Constitution by striking Iran, and argued that ICE is a modern Gestapo. Yeah, that wasn't He hasn't been violating the Constitution very much. I mean, he may have a couple times, and when the Supreme Court says he stopped. I get it. But anyway, a June 14th article from the Christian Daily titled, "We're Building a Database of ICE Identities. Here's Why." Contents that fascists are terrorizing the population, and fighting back is a community effort. The article urges that the ICE database is not harassment because it does not encourage threats. Let's see here. Fascists are terrorizing the population. That sounds like harassment and fighting back. Fighting back is a community effort. That sounds like you're inciting violence. While no author is listed on the Substack, its footer credits Dominic Skinner, who, according to his Blue Sky and LinkedIn accounts, appear to be based out of the Netherlands. This isn't even a guy from the United States. It's not even a guy from the United States. Or he's based out of the Netherlands. Skinner and the Christian Daily are linked to a website called Christianity, not Christianity, which parodies Christianity by celebrating pizza, while claiming it is real as other religion. It describes its debt for sin as punching a Nazi. Let's see. That's not terrorizing. That's not harm. That's not inciting harm. Punching a Nazi. As of Friday morning, Christian Daily's ICE list was taken offline, but apparently only temporary. A thread post from a journal explains our web host has terminated the hosting for the ICE list, likely a request from the U.S. government moving to a more trustworthy host as we speak. The Christian Daily continued to encourage individuals to submit information about law enforcement officers while the site is down. Okay, this is getting kind of long, but you get the gist of it. They're trying to They're they're not trying to dox them. They're not trying to pose threats, but they want to punch a Nazi, and that's what they're referring to the ICE people as, the ICE agents as Nazis. So if you're saying punch a Nazi, that means you want to punch a that's harassment, that's assault. Don't tell me you're not trying to. We're not. We don't. We're not trying to push for violence, or yeah you are. Yeah you are. I mean, it's plain and simple. You want these guys to unmask so you can see who they are, get their names. You want all that. Why? Why does it matter? So that you can do this. That's why. We knew that. I mean, we already knew it. It's not news. It's old news anyway. We know why you're doing it, but anyway, moving on. Okay, the FBI blocked probe into alleged Chinese 2020 election meddling to protect Ray from fallout. Documents show, and this one's from Fox News. I know Fox News, I know some of you hate Fox News, but you know what? Oh well, I'm reading from Fox News. I read from the BBC, I read from ABC, now I'm reading from Fox. I read from The Blaze, so take that with what you will. I read both sides. Exclusive. The FBI blocked an investigation into allegations that the Chinese Communist Party manufactured fake driver's licenses and shipped them to the United States in a scheme to influence the 2020 presidential election in favor of Joe Biden because it would contradict then FBI Director Christopher Wray's congressional testimony, newly declassified FBI documents obtained by Fox News Digital reveal. That was a mouthful. Okay, the records, which include communications between FBI officials ahead of the 2020 elections, were recently declassified by FBI Director Kash Patel and transmitted to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. Oh, too far. Fox News Digital reported in June that Patel located and declassified the original reporting documents alleging the Chinese Communist Party sought to deliver fake driver's licenses to Chinese sympathizers in the U.S. who would cast a vote for Joe Biden, in the 2020 election. The documents did not say whether any ballots were cast as part of the scheme. Yeah, it hasn't said that yet. Like I said, this isn't an article saying that the election was stolen. There's been new evidence come out that shows that there was at least an attempt to meddle in the 2020 election. The FBI recalled that reporting through September 25th, 2020, just a day after Ray testified before Congress that the FBI had not seen any coordinated voter fraud ahead of the 2020 election. Convenient. The FBI at the time had recalled that report in order to re-interview the source. It also directed recipients of the original report to destroy all copies of the original report and remove the original report from all computer holdings. Now, why would they want to do that? But Patel this week declassified additional documents, including records relating to the re-interview of the source and communications between the FBI officials at the time discussing the decision-making behind the recall and its decision not to publish the intelligence reporting. The records were sent to Grassley, and Fox News Digital has reviewed the records. Although the source was re-engaged and provided additional context to support the initial IIR, FBI headquarters maintained its position not to republish the report. Assistant FBI Director Marshall Yates wrote in a letter to Grassley obtained by Fox News Digital, one reason cited for not releasing the IIR was because the report will contradict Director Ray's testimony. Yeah, because that's gonna turn him into a liar. We don't want that. We don't want him to be proven to be a liar. Why would we do that? That would kill our whole scheme that we got going on here. During a Senate hearing on September 24th, Ray said he had not seen any widespread fraud by mail, and if he had, it would be something that we would investigate seriously and aggressively. I guarantee you, if that would have been for Trump, he'd have been out of office already. It would have been over, and they would never let this down. We'd hear about it every single day, just like the January 6th thing. We hear about that every single day. Every time we try to talk to somebody, they bring up the January 6th. Well, what about January 6th? Well, what about if this would have been Trump, it would have been all over the news. Everybody would have heard about it, and they would not have let it down. They would not. But since it contradicts them, we're just going to hide it, not say anything, and just like, whatever. It never happened. We have not seen historically any kind of coordinated national voter fraud efforts in a major election, whether it's by mail or otherwise, Ray testified. But people should make no mistake, we are vigilant as to the threat and watching it carefully because we are in uncharted new territory. Yeah, uncharted new territory. You were trying to make up a scheme and all of a sudden it got shut down, and now you're like, oh, wait, bury it. We don't want that coming out. But Ray also testified that the Chinese had been expanding their influence efforts, saying that they had been looking for different ways to take a page out of the maligned foreign influence playbook that they have seen elsewhere. Yates, in his letter to Grassley, explained that the recall of the original reporting documents was abnormal. The rationale provided to Albany staff for the recall was that headquarters deemed the report authoritative, but this characterization was met with disagreement by those in the Albany office, Yates explained. Grassley told Fox News Digital, these records smack of political decision-making and prove the Ray-led FBI to be deeply broken institution ahead of a high-stakes election happening amid an unprecedented global pandemic. The FBI turned its back on its national security mission. One way or the other, intelligence must be fully investigated to determine whether it's true or if it was just smoke and mirrors, Grassley said. Fox News Digital was unable to reach Ray for comment. Yeah, obviously he's not gonna answer that phone call. The report was recalled at the director of Deputy Assistant Directors Counterintelligence. Fox News Digital first reported that Flores was the FBI official to deliver a defensive briefing to Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson in August of 2020, claiming that their Hunter Biden investigation advanced Russia disinformation. That came out to be true again, too. The Hunter Biden bullcrap. That was all. Okay. The FBI declassified internal emails among Albany, New York staff obtained by Fox News Digital reflecting concerns that suppressing the document would be a dangerous if we cite political implications as reasons for not putting that out our information. Yes, Yates explained that it was not the role of analysts to align intelligence with public testimony. It was not the role of analysts to align intelligence with public testimony. Well, somebody had to do it. Albany staff further warned agent against FBI's assuming the role of sole gatekeeper for the intelligence community, emphasizing that suppressing field-generated reports could deprive other intelligence community elements of the opportunity to corroborate or discredit intelligence, Yates said. Let's see. So this is getting kind of long too, but you kind of get the gist of that one too. They're obviously they were trying to hide something because, like I said, and I don't know if this is part of that or if this was something else, but I was watching it at that election, and I think it was Wisconsin. They were like almost neck and neck. Biden may have had a slight lead, and it's like, yeah, Trump was gaining, and then all of a sudden, Trump's vote stayed exactly the same, and all of a sudden, Biden got like 250,000 more votes. His increased by like 250, 300,000 votes. It's like, wait a second. Trump didn't even gain a single vote. Not even one. I can see why people are suspicious of this, and I can see why, but this is obviously another thing that the FBI director said that was not going on. And then they find out that it was, and he didn't say anything about it because like I said, if this was Trump, we wouldn't stop hearing about it. We wouldn't stop hearing about it if it was Trump. They would be on the impeachment ring right now, and they would basically have his head on a platter if this was Trump. But since it's not, they don't even want to talk about it. They want to hide it. They want to disinform everybody. But anyway, that's it for that one. We will move on to the next one, and this one will be about the Idaho ambush. All right, what we know about Idaho firefighters, sniper who ambushed them. Okay, what we know about Idaho firefighters, sniper who ambushed them. Well, I know we've all heard about that. This is kind of a newer one that just happened a couple days ago. If I'm sure you've heard of it. If not, well, welcome to the world. I'll do a quick rundown of it since you've been under a rock if you haven't heard about it. But anyway, Sunday there was a kid. It was a 20-year-old kid that went up to the mountains up there in Idaho, up by Coeur d'Alene. He started a fire, called 911, waited there for him, and as soon as the firefighters got there to start putting out the fire, he started shooting them. He killed 2 people, wounded 1, and shot at a seriously wounded 1, and shot at a bunch of others. So that's just a quick rundown. If you haven't heard about it, there you go. That's a quick rundown. It's all over the place. You can go and look up other articles or watch videos of it. It's all over the place. So what I'm probably going to tell you is not any new news to the story. Maybe it is to you. Maybe you haven't heard about it. This is the first time I'm reading the article, so we might get something out of it. An Idaho community is reeling days after a man set a brush fire and ambushed the responding firefighters, fatally shooting 2 and injuring a 3rd. Kootenai, I think that's how you pronounce Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Chief Frank Harwood and Coeur d'Alene Fire Department Battalion Chief John Morrison were killed in the attack on June 29th. Authorities said Coeur d'Alene Fire Department Dave Tidsdale was recovering after 2 surgeries, according to Coeur d'Alene Fire Chief Tom Grief. Grief, that's an interesting last name. This community lost 2 dedicated public servants. Greg Egbert, president of the Coeur d'Alene Firefighters Union, said at a news conference, these men were dedicated firefighters. They were dedicated to their communities. These guys were hard workers. who love their families. Authorities identified the suspect, who is also deceased in an apparent suicide, as 20-year-old Wes Rowley. Rowley's body was discovered after a 6-hour manhunt that drew a response of hundreds of law enforcement officials from local, state, and federal agencies. Here's what we know. How did the shooting unfold? The firefighters responded to a call at about 1:21 p.m., June 29th, that fire had broken out on the east side of Canfield Mountain near Coeur d'Alene, a city of about 57,000 in the northern part of the state. At 2 p.m., firefighters broadcast that shots had been fired. Officials said hundreds of law enforcement officers responded and gunfire was exchanged with the suspect. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris said. This was a total ambush, Norris said. These firefighters did not have a chance. Investigators used cell phone data to locate a signal that hadn't moved since about 3:16 and discovered the body of the suspect, authorities announced just after 7:40. As the manhunt unfolded, the brush fire grew unchecked until it was considered safe for firefighters to access, the Idaho Fire Department of Lands said. As the evening of June 30th, the blaze was being held at about 26 acres with no evacuations or structure risks, structures at risk, the department said in an update. Okay, back to that other deal here. Let's move back one thing here. Let's go back one more thing. Okay, investigators used cell phone data to locate a signal that hadn't moved since about 3:16. Okay, thinking of this from whatever side you want, good side, bad side, whatever your mission is, if you're going to go do something stupid like this, don't take your cell phone with you. That's right, you're going to get caught. You take your cell phone with you, you're going to get found. Period. Unless you ditch your phone. I mean, anything. You turn it off, put it in a Faraday bag, whatever. If you don't want to get caught. He probably didn't care. But if you're going out to do something like this, even if it's something good, something for, if you're going to go out and do something, leave your cell phone at home, because they will track your data and they will find your signal and they will find you. All right. Moving on. Who is the suspect, Wes Rowley? The suspect, a transient with a history of minor run-ins with police, apparent to living out of his car at the time of the shooting, Norris said. Investigators were still looking into a possible motive and what brought Rowley to Coeur d'Alene, he said. Past encounters with law enforcement were mostly about suspicions of trespassing, authorities said. He came from an arborist family and apparent to have fired from up a tree. So he was climbing a tree? He was up in a tree. And appeared to have fired from... Okay. Somebody didn't know how to type an article very good. That was like two different things in past encounters with law enforcement were mostly suspicions of trespassing, authorities said. He came from an arborist family and appeared to have fired from up a tree. Like, whoever wrote this article needs to go back to take some English classes. The suspect at one point wanted to be a firefighter, Norris said. We don't know if there's a nexus between that desire and what happened. Former classmates remembered Rowley in interviews with USA Today having Nazi tendencies and obsessed with guns. I always have to throw that Nazi thing in there. I mean, and maybe he did, but maybe he didn't. But people just throw that Nazi thing in there just for whatever, an obsession with guns. There's a lot of people that have obsessions with guns that don't go out there and shoot people. Who were the firefighters killed in Idaho? The firefighters killed in the attack were remembered as selfless public servants. Harwood, 42, had been with Kootenai Agency for 17 years, according to Kootenai's County Fire and Rescue Chief Christopher Way. He was married with 2 children. He did an amazing job, Way said. This loss is felt by so many. Morris, a 52, had been with Coeur d'Alene Department since 1996, said Grief, the city's fire chief. Eckert of the Firefighters Union shared a recent memory of smoking cigars with Morris on a backyard patio. We talked about being better fathers. We talked about being better leaders. We talked about being better firefighters. Eckert said, I'm so incredibly grateful that gets to be my last memory with him. And that's about that. And that's that. I mean, there's still developing things in this story, but there's still some things that are kind of like left, like questions that need to be answered type things. And hopefully we get those answers. It's still like fairly fresh. At the time of this recording, it was only 2 days ago. So I'm sure there's going to be more details coming out, or like a lot of these other stories, it could just be pushed under the rug and forgot about here in the next few days. But what was his motive? That's what we'd like to know, is what was his motive? I've been hearing some things about him that they could have potentially maybe saw this coming, especially if he talks about Nazis and obsessed with guns and stuff like that. So I don't believe in red flag laws. Don't go thinking that, but kind of some red flags to, like, maybe we should kind of keep an eye on these kids. I know the FBI and whatever, the ATF or whoever would be in charge of keeping an eye on stuff like that. I know they're busy doing other stuff. They can't just keep eyes on some of these people with mental health because there's so many of them that they can't keep up with them all. But we got to find some way. We got to do something better to help these young kids out that are doing this, because you see all these school shootings and all these mass shootings or mass shootings, if you will, but you just see stuff like that, and a lot of them are kids, and they all share similar traits. They're all, not all of them, but a lot of them are broken families, and a non-existent dad, or growing up in poverty, or they're quiet, they're picked on, they're teased, they don't have a lot of friends, they're loners, a lot of them have the same type of things. They've been checked for mental issues, they've had instances where they've had trauma in their lives, or they've talked about it, or they all seem to have similar traits to the people that act these out. They're young kids, and they tend to do a lot of the same type of stuff. So it's really hard to think about it. And even with this, you think, I keep thinking that, well, I live in a decent town. We don't get any of that. I'm a smaller-ish town. I don't live in the big cities, kind of a smaller city, and it can happen there too, apparently. I mean, even that, it can happen. We're never safe from it. We're never immune from it. We're never safe from it. It could happen even in a place like that they're one of the more gun-friendly cities out there. Coeur d'Alene, they're a tight-knit community, and they all share a lot of the same beliefs and the same views of life, and So it's like it can happen. It can happen anywhere. You can't escape it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do. We gotta figure something out to take care of that. And it's not taking guns from people. It's not making guns illegal. That's not going to help. Because these criminals, these people that if they want to do something like that, they're going to find a way to do it. It's just all there is to it. But anyway, that's the show for today, for tonight. Appreciate you. Love you. YouTube stuff if you feel like it down below. There's links to other channels that I do. Sorry this was a long video. I might start doing some longer ones for the podcast anyway. I do some shorter videos for YouTube, but for the podcast I might start getting into some longer ones. I might even start going live again if I feel like it. But anyway, if you lasted this long, appreciate y'all. Love you. Do the YouTube stuff. And we'll see you next time.